It's great to have your company again on Weekend Deal. I trust we had a great time yesterday, and there's so many reasons to celebrate. Super Eagles, Dan, 3-1, Eagles going, Eguavoin pulling them. We're so proud of the Super Eagles. 2 matches, 2 wins, 6 points, I guess. Welcome to Weekend Deal. Yesterday, our focus was on health, and we spoke with the Executive Secretary of NHIS, that's the National Health Insurance Scheme, Professor Mohammed Nasser Sambo. We spoke at length. We got your messages. Today, many issues, things we discussed last year, we're taking stock again, especially as we plan for 2022. Climate change, which is evidenced by rising sea level, variable rainfall, and increasing temperature, amongst other things. But this year again, we want to take you through it again, and let's talk about solutions. Francis is our guide.
It is no longer news that the biggest threat facing humanity today is climate change, as is evident from temperature increase, increasing rainfall, drought, desertification, rising sea levels, floods, landslides, radiation, and loss of biodiversity.
Climate change is any change in the climate over a long period of time due to natural variability or due to human-induced activities. For instance, we look at the greenhouse gas emissions. These are heat-trapping gases. But because of what we are doing, it's now too much on the atmosphere. So that's why we are having the temperature is getting warmer, it's getting too hot. And so we are exposed to erosion, we're exposed to flood. In 2011, everybody knows what happened in Nigeria, in Lokoja, for instance. Animals left their natural homes and started entering, alligators and the rest started entering people's homes. And these are just because of what we are doing to the environment. The environment can no longer withstand it, and it's now coming back to us.
Nigeria is endowed with forest resources of diverse species, but the excessive exploitation of these forest resources is a source of concern, as it is a threat to the economic, environmental, and social well-being of Nigerians.
Once the trees are cut down and is not replanted, you already know what that means. The soil where that is, the trees we are taking off, already is exposed. And then the trees that are being cut down, most times are being burnt. So you have bush burning. Sometimes we've seen bushes set on fire before you know it, they enter people's homes. So it's still also as a result of it. And what happens to even the biodiversity? By the time we are felling down trees that would have been good for our health, what happens? We keep looking for importation of drugs and the rest. Meanwhile, we have our traditional trees that would have helped, the economic trees that would have also supported the GDP of the country. We cannot say because of insecurity we start cutting down trees, except the option is when you cut down one tree, plant 10. So before the 10 will grow, you'd have at least seen who is doing things within that environment. Most of the plant and animal species are going into extinction. So even when you talk about people going to hide in the forest and the rest, and then because of them, about 10 people, you endanger the lives of thousands of the plant and animal species that are meant to serve to help address the issue of food security for humans.
Besides deforestation, Growing desertification has forced thousands of herdsmen to move to the south and middle belt, leading to clashes with farmers, culminating in death of hundreds of people. Nigeria is the world's 17th biggest emitter of greenhouse gases in 2015, the second highest in Africa after South Africa. However, the government has pledged to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 20% by 2030.
When we talk about the greenhouse gases, there are three main ones. We have the methane. Methane you found out mostly in the agri sector, where you have cattle, for instance, those that rear cow. When you see the cow dung and the rest, the amount of gas that is emitted from it, now imagine it's highly low. Then you look at the nitrous oxide. That one, you're looking at nitrogen fertilizers that people use. All these inorganic fertilizers, number one, they even have effects on the bodies of the people, because most times people apply them without actually cleaning themselves well, and they put their hands and use it to eat. Cancer, see the high rate of cancer that we have. Then we have carbon dioxide. This is where the fossil fuels are. The oil and gas sector is there. We have you have the coal aspect of it. So you look at the petroleum pollution. Most times in the south you keep hearing how Shell and some of these companies are violating the rights of the communities, either because chemicals from their companies are entering the stream, the rivers where this community fetches water, and these people depend, on these things. Look at the automobiles, the vehicular emissions. How many cars have passed this road? Who is taking note on the emissions? They are also exposing themselves to cancer. They're exposing themselves to noise pollution. Sometimes some of them are even deaf. They lose their hearing. Some lose their sight.
Due to the negative impact of climate change, there is need for adaptive measures to minimize the impact, since we cannot wish it away.
One of the things we need to do is that environmental education. If you're not using water, turn it off. Even if you're brushing, only open it when you want to brush. Use the energy-saving appliances in the house. Let's find a way to reduce. Even if people need to use generator for now as a short-term thing, instead of having 10 generators in a place, they can contribute money and get something bigger or get inverter, so that way the emissions level is reduced. We need to learn to plant trees.
To begin to get lasting solutions to climate change, the emissions levels must be reduced from whatever area we're talking about, our generators, our fairly used cars, and many other areas. And that's why the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which encompasses nations of the world, is working assiduously to bring about a harmonious resolution to the climate change issue. Now, talking about Nigeria, when a government cares about its people and works assiduously towards progress and development and lasting positive change, it seeks to bring intervention programs to alleviate the state of the people, to make them live in a more comfortable way. And it's no different in Nigeria, where the government has preferred and brought forward several poverty alleviation schemes to improve the quality of life of the people. Let's see this.
Hardly can there be any meaningful development without rural development. Mindful of this fact, President Muhammadu Buhari, on the anniversary of his inauguration on May 29, 2016, launched the special intervention programs aimed at alleviating the suffering of the masses. Such intervention programs include the NPower program, the Conditional Cash Transfer program, the Government Enterprise and Empowerment program, the Homegrown School Feeding program, trader money, market money, farmer money, survival funds, among others.
If you are going to give out interventions, you must first of all try to analyze who should even get these interventions, who are these people that really need intervention? How do we ensure that the targeted persons get that safe intervention and at the right time? That has always been the problem.
So far, so good. I must say that what they've done is commendable. But if you look at the reach is the problem I have. We have too many people that are unemployed and poor today. And the insecurity has even made things even worse. So the government effort is not significantly seen in the quantum of people that actually have this problem. But it's doing a lot. We have a lot of initiatives that have come up.
The various social intervention programs were initiated and designed to create jobs for the youth and also alleviate poverty among women and the vulnerable groups. Are these interventions trickling down to the right people?
The trader money at the onset, it was going so well, but along the line, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of shady deals just crept into it. The people that were supposed to get these interventions hardly get it. The people that were responsible for giving out these interventions devised a method of trying to favor who they know, which has always been the problem in the country.
A lot of politicians who actually are in the forefront in the implementation process use it as political tools in a way to reach out to their people that are actually they have relationship with and all that. So in the process, the implementation does not actually reach out to the number of people that it should reach out to, the people that really need it.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has also launched a number of intervention schemes in its bid to ensure that individuals, households and businesses across all sectors of the economy receive support to sustain their operations and livelihoods.
CBN had a very elaborate plan, which is the Anko Borrower Program in order to help boost agriculture. It was a very fantastic program, but we've seen what happened. Even the process of vetting people has always been a problem. Those saddled with the responsibility of vetting the people that will get this program, we're not doing that. I mean, the real farmers are out there in the village. You understand? So they don't go to them. They rather get people around town. They take them to farm. They snap pictures, get the necessary measurement of the land, snap and upload pictures, and they get the money. It is happening everywhere. If you take like the NISAL, there's a program, the NISAL, a collaboration between NISAL Bank, Microfinance Bank, and the Central Bank. That has always been an ambitious plan too, but along the line it has been hijacked. The staffs have been compromised. We're told, we've heard stories of how they have agents all around. An agent would demand for 30% of whatever it's given out to you, and he will facilitate and ensure you get the money. So long as you give him 30% of that amount.
In my family, I can't count the number of people that have accessed those loans. In my whole community, I can't count the number of people. So if I'm saying that, it presupposes that we don't have up to 1% of the population accessing these funds.
As a way to further reduce the unemployment rate, the federal government launched the Public Works Program to employ hundreds of thousands of unskilled workers who have not been able to earn a living as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. The program aims to employ 774,000 workers, that is 1,000 from each of the country's 774 local government areas in public works project for an initial 3 months.
Even before the job gets started, there were some kind of wranglings between the political class and the elites, and who gets what. We saw where the minister had to battle with the legislators because they were at his neck for him to give them some quota of a job that is meant for the most vulnerable people in the society.
There is no way you do a local government intervention that your family will not be affected. The question I keep asking is, who are those that have benefited from it? But I must tell you that what government needs to do to actually create huge impact is to do things that actually impact on the ease of doing business.
The need to repackage the social intervention programs to make more people at the grassroots benefit from it cannot be overemphasized.
To access a loan, and I know that I have to repay that loan at a given time. I won't go about marrying wives or having what we call misplaced priority. I will ensure that I put that money where it is meant to be. And I'll work hard to make sure I reap some profit and repay government back the money.
Reorientate the mindset of our people. Our people are very industrious. They are born entrepreneurs, but the problem they have is that they have role models that are not showing them the way. We also have ease of doing business.
Yes, so the ease of doing business as well as social, the intervention schemes have been put in place to elevate the plight of many Nigerians, to make their lives more comfortable, empower, trader money, farmer money, market money. All this and more we'll be talking about with the Special Assistant to the President and the National Coordinator of the National Social Investment Programme, Dr. Umar Bender. Thank you for making the time to be with us.
Thank you very much.
We chatted a bit on New Year's Day, but today we're going deeper into different areas because amazingly, you have served in many areas and you will give us more enlightenment on areas where we need clarity. Welcome and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you
again. Let's talk about this intervention schemes. Some people say that the closest they come to it is where they see it on the news, on the internet. But we get other reports that many people are accessing them. How? Why this disparity? Who has access? Who doesn't?
Well, you see, traditionally, any country that you hear that it is a developing country, or underdeveloping country, or a least developing country, the common factor is that poverty is very high. Poverty is the index for defining your development. And the menu to capture all this and also become developed is to do the right things. Once you are doing right things, you will also see yourself edging over. And these three aspects of recipe is that you must strategize, commit, and really anchor the fight against poverty. Unless most of your people are having access to basic needs, are relaxed, are feeling inclusive, and so on and so forth, you will not find the composure and the best coming out of your people. When you conquer that, then you think of creating massive middle class. People have skills. People are working. They're having an income. And then you go to the last level where you develop institutions to make sure that you're stable. So you see, Mr. President, with his wisdom and his team said, look, since independence, Nigeria has remained a developing country, meaning poverty has sustained itself as a problem in this country. So while we are doing the middle classing and the infrastructure and the institutions, we must go back and tackle this poverty. But so he said, how are we doing it? And then he realized that over the years, we used to do them as tiny, tiny programs. Or we do DIFRI, or People's Bank, or NAPEP, or FIP, and so on and so forth. So the president said, look, we have to put this monster in a very well coordinated manner, in such a way that we must force our people to work together to ensure that they contribute continuously to fighting this. And that is how even the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development was created, to harness all this. And it's a very strong strategic ministry. Inside that, the president introduced the National Social Investment Program as a specific program that is having the dagger, punching poverty continuously, non-stop. And that is how we have the 4 clusters that you're talking about. Empower. It's like young people need skills, whether you are a graduate, whether you're a secondary school leaver, even if you have never been to school, you need skills. And then take these skills to take opportunities that the country presents. When you say many people cannot drink clean water does not drop from the sky freely. Somebody has to collect it, treat it, package it, and give it to people. That is where the jobs are.
We'll come back because as you are elucidating all of this information, it sounds brilliant, exciting, and it seems we can say comfortably that Nigeria is doing well. But I will come to put, maybe if we look at it like this, we can say, some gap. Are there any gaps? But that will be when we come back to our conversation. In the meantime, let's take this package, the various government intervention schemes.
In response to Nigeria's demand that the federal government act swiftly to get the country out of socio-economic crisis in 2015, The President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration introduced some social intervention programs aimed at alleviating the suffering of the masses. The programs include the home feeding program for primary school students, the conditional transfer of cash to the very poor, the N-Power volunteer plan for 500,000 graduates, and the state program for empowerment, a scheme of borrowing managed by the Bank of Industry.
The whole essence of conditional cash transfer was to introduce or usher into our economy in the new policy of government in terms of welfare of Nigerians. So far, those who applied and majority of those who actually applied have gotten this conditional cash transfer. However, there are some hiccups in that those who are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that this thing is done with the clear intent of the president and to get to the people have been a sort of clog in the success to this policy. Some of them have devised a way of midwifing those who get, choosing and picking, and then favoring certain groups and ethnic groups or states or even people against those who ordinarily are supposed to benefit from this.
There's so many interventions. So was it global? When I mean global, did it go around the whole country? Did certain part of the country get and others didn't get? That's what I don't know. But the conditional cash transfer came to my constituency and it went round.
The various social intervention programs were initiated and designed to create jobs for the youth and also alleviate poverty among women and the vulnerable groups. The Central Bank of Nigeria has also launched a number of intervention schemes in its bid to ensure that individuals, households, and businesses across all sectors of the economy receive support to sustain their operations and livelihoods.
I've seen people who told me they got that loan and the moratorium is upward of 6-12 months and the interest rate is just 5%. I happen to have had something to do with NISA, the bank that is primarily responsible for giving out this loan. I've seen some of their documents, 5%. It's so friendly. CBN made it really, really very accessible, very available, and many persons got.
As a way to further reduce the unemployment rate, the federal government launched the Public Works Program to employ hundreds of thousands of unskilled workers who have not been able to earn a living as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. The program aims to employ 774,000 workers, that is 1,000 from each of the country's 774 local government areas in public works project for an initial 3 months.
I don't think anybody has benefited from that. There are so many we filled from the National Assembly here, from the local government, from the state, and from other agencies. NDE, National Directorate of Employment, I filled from all those also my constituents. I'm not aware that anybody has resumed. But even that, I was not really in support of that, because now you're going to give people employment for 3 months to do what? To clean the street and all that. Okay, who was cleaning the street before now? You know? That's supposed to be the work of the local government. So if you must put that fund, why don't you just do something? Do something like what? Yeah, maybe you can fix the roads. So 3 months after, what would the people do? People, they are not used to getting that every month. 3 months after. Because you are trying to cushion, I do understand clearly. But I didn't think that was the right way to do it.
It has taken off in most local governments, and I can also speak as a fact that most Nigerians who I happen to have logged into their index have received alert. Any local government that have not received alert, it simply means it's a problem of the bank that was supposed to be in charge of the disbursement, not the federal government.
The need to repackage the social intervention programs to make more people at the grassroots benefit from it cannot be overemphasized.
So my preference would have been, if it's a road or 2-3 roads you want to fix within a constituency, within a local government, with that money, let that be the intervention. Remember, when you are doing that road, the contract is awarded. There are people that will work genuinely, not sit down at home and earn 20,000 naira. Or you say they should go and sweep the streets. When that's the job of the local government and it's been happening. You know, so people will come out within that time and work as maybe laborers or whatever. You know, but you have also stimulated the economy of that local government. and people would have genuinely earned money. And you have created a service.
I must appreciate the fact that much is being done, but again, a lot more needs to be done.
A lot is being done. Some say a lot more still needs to be done. But perhaps we can look at the idea of strategy is key. Sometimes you may have little, but it's how you use that money, how you funnel it into areas where it is most needed, as well as empowering those people who will utilize that money with the requisite skills. That will determine to a large extent what the outcome will be. Dr. Binder, tell us more.
Yes. Traditionally, that is the value chain. Money alone does not take you to the heaven's gate. Skills alone does not take you to the heaven's gate. Saying Nigeria has opportunity all over the place. A tree is not timber. A field is not a farm. So something has to be done. So when you have a skill, some knowledge on technical knowledge, how to properly cut a piece of wood, you have to also have social knowledge of the environmental impact of taking this tree out without planting another one. That is not science and whatever. It's part of training. So training is key. But then training to utilize the resources you have to make progress economically is another thing. All that is captured in our packages, from the smallest to the biggest. Imagine, people don't seem to understand. This country, if you go to the National Bureau of Statistics, they will tell you that we have between 20 to 30 million unemployed graduates. They have graduated out of universities, polytechnics, colleges of education. If you take 1 million, only 1 million, and you put them on Empower Graduate Scheme, paying them 30,000 naira per month, which they complain that is too small. Thelma, in 10 months, the bill for that 1 million is 30 billion naira. In 10 months, it's 300 billion naira. 300 billion naira. In 1 month, it's 30 billion. In 10 months. So in 1 year, you're talking about 320, 360 billion naira going to only the stipends.
So this is not cost effective?
So what I mean is the problem is big. Okay. The resources required is huge. So you have to be strategic. You have to make sure that when you capture 10 graduates, at least 7 of them become also entrepreneurs that can employ another 10.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
How does it filter down?
Exactly. So that is the strategy. So the issue is we're working with everybody. This implementation of this program is not just the ministry or the NSIP, whatever. We're working with NOA. Why? Because they are professionals in reorienting the young people. Yes, the honorable member there says, when you employ somebody for 3 months, what have you done? To somebody who was totally unemployed, no income, employing him for 3 months with a lot of advice will change his life.
But what is the feedback? Are lives really being changed?
Of course, yes. I mean, this one you can only confirm it when you go to the field. But I can tell you there are a lot of testimonies. There are women that have taken this 5,000 naira, they have decided to now form cooperatives. And then contributing every month after they collect their 5,000 naira, 2,000, 3,000. After several months, they were able to buy a second-hand bus, taking their own children to school, taking their sick to the hospital. There are women that have come together to build one classroom in their school based on this income. Their cooperative societies, they now do their own local trades, smoking fish, drying meat, and so on and so forth. So there are testimonies that can actually make you cry.
To build skills acquisition centers, because if we tackle our youths before they burst out, while they are young, energy, they're excited, enthusiastic. If we begin to build skills in them at that level, we can only begin to imagine what will happen when they get to their 20s, mid-20s, when they get to their 30s. They are already built and ready, can begin to employ people. Businesses are already set up.
I think it's part of national policy through the NUC that every university must establish an entrepreneurship, either faculty or department, in every single university before they are accredited fully. Okay. And that is working. For the last 5 years, if you check, particularly in the ICT sector, the boom in terms of people taking advantage of that technology to reel out companies all over the place is actually showcasing itself. So it is working, but because it is a big country, 200 million people with 200 full-fledged universities and another 150 polytechnics, it's not a small thing. No African country has the energy.
Okay. But tell us about the loopholes. Some are thinking all this talk, all the money budgeted for this social interventions, are they really getting to those who need to utilize it? Is some of it hopping in other areas? Are we getting the desired effects? Are we putting everything where we say we are putting them in?
I think if it is there are some inefficiencies, but I will not say corrupt practice. If there is any corruption, it comes down to the bottom, because any penny that is approved for feeding schools goes directly for feeding schools. The ministry does not, you just plan it and you pass it to the finance people and they pay the cooks directly. G, it goes directly to the beneficiaries. Empower, that stipend goes directly to the beneficiary. Now, the issue is it working? So now that is our own job, is to program it well, to monitor it well, to ensure that it works. It's not really like stealing the money. The loopholes is trying to say, are we coordinated? Are we patient enough to work together?
Okay.
Are we going to these schools to teach every day? Are young people attending to this? And I can tell you, Thelma, there are some young people who will do everything to latch themselves on Empower and they don't go to teach. Yes, they just like to take the stipend. We've seen that. There are people who, will capture the school, and at that level, cooks don't cook.
Well, in 2022, we had some process and strategy and direction for last year. When we come back, I'd like you to tell us, it's a new year. We have assessed some challenges, some difficulties. We know our people better, especially those who we have given some resource to. What are we going to put in place this year to bring about some change and definite improvement? Meanwhile, for Mubi North, you have a message especially for you. I'll take that. But first, let's talk about the ease of doing business in Nigeria. When you get all this resource, all this stipend from government, tell us about the ease of doing business. How is it working for you?
Nigeria is a country blessed with human, mineral and natural resources, making her a viable hub for various business activities as well as investment, thus making her the toast of every entrepreneur and investors all over the world. Despite the growth of the economy and the potential of great business opportunities, Nigeria still has some challenges that can affect entrepreneurs or investors who plan to do business in the country.
One of the biggest challenges I think most people face during businesses is the effect of government policies. I would like to bring in a particular scenario which I thought was very tragic for the business owner in Lagos. So he started a business similar to Uber. So he was, you go on an app, you order for a ride, which is I think the Okada, the motorcycles, and it takes you to your destination and you pay, very similar to the Uber app. And what happened? He started his business, and what happened? The government came, the governor precisely, and passed a law that said that there was not going to be any motorcycles allowed to be in Lagos anymore. And that was the end of his business. He lost his whole business. And another thing that we face as Nigerians when you're trying to start your business is not just these government policies, but also what I like to call the insecurity that is going on right now in Nigeria. I know there are so many businesses that have been affected by the insecurity going on in Nigeria. Situations such as the NSARS, where a couple of businesses were burnt, they were destroyed. Government support to protect those businesses. We have the issue of electricity, for example. We are trying to, entrepreneurs like myself, are trying to build good global businesses. And it's very difficult to do that in an environment that does not cater for your business.
The Corporate Affairs Commission, for instance, is charged with incorporation of companies and business registration to ensure that all registration processes, including search and payment, are fully automated, thereby reducing the compliance burden of incorporation. But what is the situation today?
In terms of registration of business, we've changed. I have seen a huge development. I have seen a huge movement from back then when registering of businesses was more. It required more physical presence. That was, you get your hard copy documents, you go to CAC, you meet one or two people, you sign your forms, you sign and you register your business. But now, I think thankfully because of the pandemic, there was a need for CAC to move from that physical interaction of going to the offices, uploading the forms, to a online platform. So now it's as simple as, now you can get your business registered in a day, which I think is a very huge plus for Nigeria. Take for example, I think last week I registered a farm. A farmer had an agricultural business, and I registered it in 2 hours.
It is on record that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration is the first to consciously determine to address Nigeria's perennial low ranking in global ease of doing business. According to World Bank rating, Nigeria is ranked 131 among 190 economies in the ease of doing business. This was an improvement in 2019 from 146 in 2018.
In Nigeria, it's not an issue of the fact that the laws are not there, but it's more of the implementation. How are these laws being implemented? What is being put in place to actually, supervise the implementation of these laws? So good and fine, the executive orders have been passed, but what bodies are looking after these organizations that were empowered to make business easy for entrepreneurs or for business owners? Someone that's expected to do their job is asking you for money. There's almost a sense of entitlement on your money for doing your job. And I think those attitudes are part of the reasons that we as a country is yet to move forward. There's no even hiding it anymore. It's, your guy, if you want us to do this job, you will find us something. They are expecting that extra, motivation, to do the job.
Faithful implementation and adherence to the executive orders should improve Nigeria's investment competitiveness and ratings. But such improvement will be more substantial if all states were to issue similar executive orders in respect of regulatory processes under their jurisdiction.
How am I supposed to survive as a business owner when I am being taxed by various bodies? We also have the issues of touts. I've heard it from several of my clients that have opened and started their businesses. You have one or two touts, I would say, dressed in a uniform with a fake identity card coming to tax your business. And you as a business owner, because you don't have perhaps the legal knowledge you need or the legal backing or support, you don't know where that person is coming from, what agency they represent. So you're being threatened per se to pay taxes that are not even legally backed. The government should create a space where employers, workers feel comfortable, dealing with their state of mind. And we as citizens of Nigeria should also feel comfortable doing our jobs when there isn't that extra motivation, that extra tip.
After you get assistance from government, you have the resource you need, you begin to build your business, you are a fledgling businessman or businesswoman, then you begin to think about the ease of doing business. You have set up your company, your industry, your factory, you are working, you've employed a few people. How about return on investment? And that's where the ease of business comes in. We will continue our conversation, Dr. Binde, but you have a message for you, which I talked about earlier. From Mubi North in Adamawa State, Mohammed Danlad Ibrahim is saying, Dr. Binde, you have spoken very well in advocating the programs you just mentioned. To be honest with you, after filling the form online and it's someone else who's going to sort it out, who is going to manage and process it for approval, doesn't that give room for some bias in the selection process? Also, someone else said earlier that this scheme seems to be focusing mainly in the northern part of Nigeria. How true is that?
Well, for the Mubi North at Danjuma, the sorting out is not done manually. When you go digital, you go all the way. You don't mix manual and digital. The only thing that the computer knows about any applicant is a number, but for us to be fair in this country, that is riding on the second question, all the numbers, when the president said, take 1 million Nigerians, it has to be Nigerians. 36 states of the Federation plus FCT, 774 local government areas. We use 4 indices to share this. First, we say 20% of this volume must be equal distribution. So we take 20% of 1 million, we divide it by 37, and every state has a figure. That's one. Then the next is poverty incidence. This ministry is about coordinating the fight against poverty. National Bureau of Statistics has given us the poverty incidence for every state. Sokoto has the highest, getting nearly to 90. Lagos has the lowest. It's around 4.3%. Those indices, you use it on another 20% and share it. So when for that 20%, Sokoto will get higher, Lagos will get the least. Next is population. Then population is Kano, Lagos, and it goes down like that. You use that again for another 20%. You share it. So on population, Kano and Lagos will get the highest numbers, and then it goes down to the smaller states, and then number of local governments. So all these indices are carefully selected, and then every state, there is a number that is attached to it. This number is sacrosanct.
As the new year has taken off, fast-paced already, we're moving in an accelerated manner. Based on what we have learned from last year and the years past with this social intervention programs, what are we going to bring to bear with our strategy for this year to ensure greater success? On a final note,
one of the biggest strategies is actually to strengthen our monitoring, evaluation, and impact assessment. We want to go in there and in the field to see every single happening, be able to coagulate with the focal persons, to work as a team. All this mistrust and so on and so forth should evaporate. Even in governments where it is not the same as us, we want to go and encourage them to say that poor people needs help. It is when you solve this poverty that you solve problem of insecurity, that you solve problems of kidnapping, and so on and so forth. So the strength of this year is partnership, and partnership, being very well coordinated, and then to monitor and ensure that we visit and revisit everything that we are doing in a practical field manner so that we can be able to enhance the successes.
Dr. Umar Bender, you make Nigerians very excited and very enthusiastic to partner with government to grow and progress our nation, and we thank you. Special Assistant and the National Coordinator of the National Social Investment Program and the Baban Mufti of Adamawa. Wow.
Yes.
The one and only Dr. Umar Bender. We thank you as always. Whenever you come, you give Nigerians hope, you bring succor, you give us renewed vigor to continue to work assiduously to ensure that we grow and progress our nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're watching Weekend Deal. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Weekend Deal on the Nigerian Television Authority. We're going to be talking with David Anyele, Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disabilities. It's the third year of the passage of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Act of 2018. I interviewed you in Lagos more than 10 years ago, and I tell you, you're totally different. I mean, I celebrate with you how far you have come.
Thank you so much. Thank you
done.
so much.
Tell us.
I'm a product of support from Nigerians from different walks of life.
Well done.
After the limb loss in 1999 in Freetown, Sierra Leone, in which my two hands were chopped off, NTA played a key role in my rehabilitation and reintegration. So I don't take the role of NTA for granted. Anytime I come here, I remember Franco.
Your journey.
Abike Dabiri, Sere Iradere, many, roots,
blessed memory.
Or Pia, many. And you as well, seeing you again for over a long time. So I'm excited here.
Well done, my brother. Tell us, where are we now? 2018, this is 2022.
Yeah.
What's the journey been like? What are your expectations?
We remain grateful to President Muhammad Buhari for signing the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act into law. After 18 years of serious struggle to secure assent. And why is it necessary? Is because we live in a society that is characterized with discrimination, exclusion, stigma against people with disabilities. Anywhere disability occur, people trigger, exclusion. People trigger, isolation. As such, people with disabilities and their families struggle much more to access not just their environment or their society, but even government program and activities. As such, life becomes very difficult. Access to education, becomes, limited. Access to healthcare, it becomes a struggle. even access to economic participation. So we are happy that with a legal framework, we will equally drive policy framework from different sectors, different groups, in order to ensure that no one is left behind in program activities, development, economic, otherwise, on the grounds of disability.
Is anyone being left behind? This is the third anniversary of the passage of this act. Your expectations when it was passed, has it been met?
Well, it's a document that is work in progress. Part of the key expectation, has to do with the setting up of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. And the president, in his wisdom, has set up the commission. And the commission is functioning at a Plateau House here in Abuja. But setting up a commission is one thing. Having the necessary resources to run the commission is another thing. Recognizing that we have more than 31 million Nigerians with disabilities living in rural areas with minimal access to social infrastructure.
You said more than?
More than 31 million Nigerians has one form of disability or the other. Majority are in the rural areas. Some of them don't even see them in the communities because their family members, don't want them to come out because of what people or society will perceive them as. So, as such, the challenge is enormous. The requirement for rehabilitation of an individual with disabilities is huge.
Sometimes we spend a lot of time talking. How about instructing, delegating at the state level? Because for you to succeed now at the federal, you must have an active participation in 36 states.
That is why the people who are coming here, their capacity is going to be built to do that at the state level.
You need to build it physically.
You need to build it, their capacity. They need to understand approaches to engaging, to duplicating some of these success stories wherever they may be.
So there are success stories.
Of course, there are success stories. The Passage of Disability Act was not a state-run action. It was people with disabilities in this country that campaigned for 18 years to get that law passed. Even drafted the bill. So it was not an executive, sponsored bill at the National Assembly. It was CSOs that did that. People with disabilities in particular. And even the National Commission of Persons with Disabilities is also people with disabilities that are also they are heading it.
You have an event on Thursday.
From Tuesday to Thursday.
Okay, what are your expectations? I guess Thursday is the grand finale.
Yeah. What we are looking at, 2023 general election and beyond, the future of Nigerians with disabilities. We are building the capacity of people with disabilities to take over, to rule their world, to look at governance and attack it and be able to possess their possession. Okay. We are looking at the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission to come and share with people with disabilities across the federation on the extent of their preparation for the 2023 general election vis-a-vis people with disabilities participation in the electoral process. We are looking at the Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities to come to render account of his services 1 year after his appointment as the Commission Executive Secretary, because we want to know what is going on in that commission. We're also going to be looking at the extent of organizations, different individuals, their effort in ensuring that the act is implemented. In fact, we're bringing the state agencies on disability to come and talk to us about what they are doing in ensuring that people with disabilities are benefiting from such agencies at the state level. So as I said, it's a learning place. Those that have done well, others will learn from them. Those are also challenging. People will equally share approaches to solving their problem. Is what we are going to, look forward to achieving this week at National Human Rights Commission conference hall. Because, as I said, the law was led by people with disabilities, and people with disabilities are also looking forward to hold all actors accountable in its implementation.
I wish you well. You have spoken so eloquently. You are very convinced of what you say. It is our hope that those you are leading are as excited and as enthusiastic as you are to take on the challenges that will come when the success that you dream of actually comes to play at all levels, from the state and the federal capital territory. We wish you well.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
We wish you well.
Thank you so much.
Because in most cases, I've gone to school with people, we did youth corps with many people. We know that here, many of us have got it.
Yeah.
The capability is there. The brilliance is there. The tenacity, the vigor, the vibrance is there. So we wish you well. We know that you have what it takes, and we hope that all what you dream of will be actualized, as you push forward progressively. Give us your final words.
We are asking and keep on asking that Nigerians should say no to discrimination on the grounds of disability. We are asking and we keep on asking that access should be provided for all. If you're building infrastructure, not only put in ramp, but also ensure that the toilet facilities are accessible to people on wheelchair. We are asking and keep on asking that program activities of the federal government of Nigeria, be it at the local, state, or federal level, should be accessible to people with disability. We are asking the National Assembly members, in their oversight function, they should ask questions the extent of government program activities are accessible to people with disabilities. Together, we are looking for a Nigeria that is free from discrimination on the grounds of disability.
It is possible. The Nigeria already exists. We keenly welcome you. We adapt to welcome and accommodate you. Thank you, David Anyele, Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disabilities. And a brilliant and a happy new year to you.
Happy New Year.
I know you'll be succeeding all the way.
Thank you so
much. This is our 23rd year of uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria. What has the journey been like? Let's find out together.
One of the good things about the commemoration of Democracy Day is that it should ideally cause a deep national reflection on where we are coming from, the journey so far, and a re-energized commitment to stay on course. It is the best test we can give ourselves to determine how deeply rooted we are or how far we have strayed from upholding the fundamental doctrines of respect for the rule of law, free press, and respect for human rights.
Muhammadu Buhari is a Democrat. He believed that this country made a big mistake annulling June 12 election. He believed in June 12 election. He believed in the candidacy of MKO Abiola. He believed that MKO Abiola should have been a president. He rejected the celebration of June 12 by the Southwest alone. It's a Nigerian celebration. And that's why he has now converted June 12 to be our Democracy Day.
Buhari came as a nationalist, and now that didn't make it a very liberal, and that is one thing that worth celebration. June 12 is a dead, and we also support President Buhari by bringing it back for our history.
Education, for instance, is an instrument for excellence. It liberates people from poverty and ignorance. It is for life and for living. How has the education sector fared 22 years after the return of democratic rule?
I'm one of those proponents that is seriously against excessive privatization of our educational sector. And the reason is simple. The privatization of schools is meant to reduce the total dependence of financing of education of any country. That's how it's supposed to be. It means that if you want to privatize a university today in Lokoja, it means that the government's public schools in Lokoja should enjoy the same tax revenue that you pay as a private investor in private schools, so that they can also compete by trying to be at par to subsidize those schools that is owned by government.
Democracy Day is a day that affords us the opportunity to measure the level of maturity of our political process in the conduct of free, fair and credible elections, and the quality of our civic engagement and the involvement of women in politics.
Unfortunately, even within our own people that within the APC in government now has succeeded in alienating women completely out of politics. And how do they do that? They impoverish the common man in the community. When the common people are poor in our suburbs, a woman will not even come out. She's considering what she's going to eat.
Looking at the power sector, the government says there has been more than 2,000 megawatts of additional power generation capacity by the end of 2018, some via public-owned plants, while others are through private sector investment supported by the federal government. What is the situation on ground today?
The improvement is okay. if we can consider to our own standards as Nigerians. But how far and how long are we going to keep up to this standardization? Nigeria will always leave behind. We must, in as much as government should add more to that. So I believe it's an average, but that we see today, NEPA, and sort of. So this is why I must stand about the power. The improvement is not something to talk about.
Between 1999 to 2015, we have spent over $50 billion. Between 2015 to date, we have not spent up to 10. But you can see that there's a massive improvement. Right now, our generation companies can actually generate up to 13,000 megawatts. Our transmission can transmit up to 8,000. Our distribution can distribute up to 6,000. So you can see that if there was a consistency in policy, financing, and transparency from 1999 to the time this government came to power, you can imagine the changes we will have had.
The place of sports in the development of a nation cannot be overemphasized, and Nigeria, being a country that is faced with worrisome youth unemployment, can use the sports sector to effectively engage most of the young ones.
I'm glad to see some of our retired Super Eagles players engaging in our local clubs. I'm glad to see how we're participating. I would love to see a lot of investors like Ifeanyi Uban. You can see what Ifeanyi has done, is doing to also football. We need to see a lot of investors like that. I want us to spend more time and money to go to football stadiums and watch football than watching Manchester City on our satellite TVs.
Let's love each other. Let's see whoever comes from anywhere. Let's search for those that have the ability to do. If there's anything good in this administration, let somebody come on top and build on it, and we forgot bygone and make this country great again.
As we mark this day, all hands must be on deck towards making Nigeria a greater and better nation.
We say that all hands must be on deck. It's not just saying government should continue to work for the people. We have come to learn that the progress of government is dependent on the level of patriotic followership that government has. All hands must be on deck, that everybody must be a patriot. If it's not your turn today, it's the turn of your neighbor, it's okay. Celebrate your neighbor, highlight your neighbor, support your neighbor. It will be your turn. It has been a pleasure spending time with you on Weekend Deal. Always, when we discuss Nigeria, we talk about exciting prospects, and we are enjoining all Nigerians not to ever relent in their efforts towards building a strong country where we and our families can grow, live together, benefit, and succeed. And it takes us to be true patriots who work together, who believe in each other, who support government, and who know what it takes to be a nation that is working assiduously to benefit and prosper over 200 million people, of which you and I are members. On Weekend Deal, it concerns you and it concerns us, and that's why we talk about it. Now we've looked about things that happened last year. How are you going to adapt that in your beliefs and plans and goals and aspirations for this new year? It's up to you to stay tenacious, to stay focused. From all of us here, the entire production team will say thank you for being a part of our show. Continue to support the Super Eagles. Continue to pray for Nigeria. Have a great week. God bless you.